All right, so The Accountant 2, the sequel from 2016's The Accountant. I did not realize that it had been that long since we got The Accountant, or since we saw the first Accountant movie. 2016, 9 years, kind of a big time jump for a movie like this. Um, but I remember really enjoying the first one. I remember seeing it with my parents, really enjoying it. It was very different, like thriller movie, considering the fact that he had Asperger's, and like that's a big part of the story. I thought that was very, very cool in the first one. So, was super excited when they announced they were doing a second one as well, and that Bernthal was going to be returning, who we both love.
Hmm.
We're the we're the number one John Bernthal fans. So, yeah, so we finally got the sequel after 9 years, and basically, so J.K. Simmons' character, who is in the first accountant, he plays like the head of like some department or some treasury department or something. Um, Basically the movie picks up with him. He's like working a case, even though he's retired, but he's still working on this case, trying to find this missing person. He gets killed, but he before he dies, he writes on his arm, "Find the accountant." So the the same like the girl that took over his job, she was in the first one. She kind of was under him in the first one, but now she's taken over his job. What's her name? Like Medina or something?
Mary Beth.
Mary Beth
Medina.
Medina.
Yep.
Um, so she once she sees his body and sees the message to find the accountant, she basically goes on the hunt for Ben Affleck's character, Christian Wolf, who has basically just been hiding out, chilling in his Airstream. He's trying like speed dating. You get a really funny, very awkward scene of him doing speed dating with a bunch of women. Um, and it seems like he's mostly like trying to live a normal life. But obviously, like he's this sick ass assassin, trained killer. Um, so she hunts him down, finds him, and is like, "Hey, we need to figure out what happened to him. We got to figure out who killed J.K. Simmons. I don't remember his name, but we got to figure out who killed him." And then,
Something King, right?
I don't know. And then they start working on the case that he was working on. They were basically looking for missing persons, and it was like a missing child and a missing woman. Um, so all that happens. She finds him, and then he calls his brother Braxton, played by John Bernthal, who was also in the first one, who's also kind of in a similar line of work. He basically is a killer for hire, essentially. But like in the first one, he doesn't have as much of a moral compass about it. He just kind of like whoever he's told to kill, he kills.
Yep.
Um, so Ben Affleck contacts him. He's like, "Hey, I need this help with this case. Can you be in LA?" So Bernthal comes over to LA, and this whole mystery unfolds, and they try to figure out who killed J.K. Simmons and try to find these the missing woman and the missing child. So really cool, simple premise. It picks up, right, not right where the first one left off, but I mean you feel like you're not too far removed from the characters. You still remember everything about the first one. It's not like, super crazy lore that you have to remember from the first one to go watch this one. You could probably see this movie without having seen the first one,
Yeah.
and still really enjoy it, which was really cool. Um, so yeah, that is the account too. And like I said, at the very beginning of the podcast, we both very much enjoyed it. I saw it well, I think we both saw it on Friday afternoon in different theaters, and both of our theaters were packed. I literally went to like a 3 o'clock showing, and it was packed.
I went to one.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I mean, people love, I think people are mostly going to this movie because people love Ben Affleck and John
yeah.
Bernthal. But The Accountant is a really cool, interesting, unique character. We have thrillers that come out every single week on streaming services and the movies and movies that don't even make it to the movie theater. Um, but this one sets itself apart, and I thought it always, had back in the day when the first one came out. It's just very different, and I think it's super cool that that Ben Affleck's able to play this character with autism really well, but he still has this crazy skill set where he can just slaughter people. Very cool concept. So yeah, no, we both enjoyed it. Let me hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I wanted to rewatch the first one before I watched the second one, but um now that you said like you made a great point. I don't think you had to see the first one to see this one. I think you could have kind of had just as much fun as people had saw the first one if you didn't see the first one. This one, like you said, kind of brings you up to speed for the most part of like not I mean nothing really besides the characters. I mean, you kind of know the basic premise of the movie. You know, unless you wanted more of a deep dive on uh Ben Affleck's character, I think for the most part you could just see this movie and be just fine. Um, I personally enjoyed this one more than the first one.
Yes,
I
me too.
thought this one with the addition of John Bernthal as Braxton having a bigger role in this one and actually seeing more of a communication and banter and relationship between them was hilarious. They are both um obviously Christian is more of the um I just lost my train of thought. Oh, is
Introverted.
yeah, he's the main character obviously, and like he has like you said, Asperger's very smart, very good with numbers. Notices patterns. That was like a big thing in this movie was patterns. And then John Bernthal is a wacky, kill hungry, not much of a moral compass at all, but hilarious as well. But they just have such a good chemistry in this movie that they really do feel like they could be brothers. They really do feel like they say the right things at the right times. They obviously have chemistry outside of the movie. This movie made me laugh out loud multiple times. My theater was laughing out loud multiple times. And really, it's really the subtle comments from Ben Affleck's character that you're
And
like,
Bernthal. But yeah, both of
yeah.
them.
Well, it's really the subtle, like when John Bernthal says something, and he responds like just very short, very funny, and it's like just like a backhanded comment, and you just laugh. I thought the scene with him dancing because he's noticing the patterns and he's counting in his head. I thought that was a very cool scene, but at the same time, very feel good. And then it gets hilarious at the end when they just beat the crap out of those two guys. And Christian's like leaning in, he's like, "I want you, just go ahead and hit me. Just go ahead and hit me." But no, I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a better, more of a fun movie compared to the first one. I think you may have said it on the podcast or we talked about it earlier that the first one is more serious. It really is. This one is definitely more funny, more fun. And well, I'll talk about some things I didn't like when I give my rating, but like for the most part, I had a great time with this movie. I thought the dialogue was great. I thought the story was fun, and I thought the chemistry was like unmatched between Affleck and Bernthal.
Yeah, yeah. And then the last like action sequence with both of them was really really solid when they went to go, rescue that kid. Um yeah, no, dude, their back and forth banter was just so good. Because you only get them literally in the last scene of the first movie together.
Hmm.
So you get them like most of this movie they're together. So seeing their like back and forth and how they communicate and how Bernthal's, crazy character interacts with his autistic brother and just kind of seeing that dynamic and the way they communicate with each other is very, very funny. They, like you said, you literally I feel like Ben Affleck and John Berthal could be brothers. They have great, great chemistry here. So funny, and it's not like goofy, like slapstick comedy, comedy. It's just like simple, teeny little remarks or like ways that they like he looks at them or
Hmm.
whatever it may be. But it is really, really funny. And I texted you after the movie. I said, uh, Ben Affleck line dancing to Copperhead Road isn't something I knew I needed.
Yeah,
But that was definitely like the standout scene of the movie for me. It was very funny. Um, and then he was like, I want my brother to have some fun too. Hit me
yeah.
right here, right hit me. Uh,
And he's
so
like calling them names like very subtly. He's like stupid, or it's like whatever he says. But
yeah.
yeah, no, agreed.
So yeah, dude. I mean, it's a really really good sequel to an already really solid movie. That came out when God, we were still in high school. It's crazy. Um, and it's a movie that I didn't think I really ever cared to see a sequel to, but I'm glad we got one.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that they um, decided to, get them two together and explore that dynamic a little more. And I honestly could see them doing another one now,
yeah,
kind of just continuing to do missions. I thought the stuff with the clinic that Affleck's character had like grown up in, that like neurological science
Yeah.
center.
Yep.
Um, the fact that all of those other kids that are there with autism were
Yeah.
basically helping out the
Yeah.
whole movie.
Yep.
I thought was so cool, and they like hacked this woman's phone and showed everything. And they were all just like kids. They were all kids, with neurological disorders, um, which I thought was so cool.
Yep.
Something that they didn't really explore in the first one, but I thought that was very unique and very like funny, honestly. So yeah. I mean, it's how you want to do a sequel like this. It's not anything like a sequel to a Marvel movie or a big franchise movie or Star Wars. Like it's just it's just its own separate story with characters that you met in the first one, and it just explores different parts of them. But like, it's not really tied to the first at all, which is kind of refreshing because, like you said, you probably hadn't seen the first one in what, 6, 7 years, something,
I think
maybe longer.
maybe 5, 6 years. Yeah, probably.
And you're still able to jump into this and enjoy it, which says a lot. I did rewatch the first one a couple weeks ago, and it still holds up for sure. Anna Kendrick was in that one. She was not in this one,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
other
Yeah.
than her, you get J.K. Simmons in this one, even though he was killed at the beginning, and the same actress that played Mary Beth Medina.
Yep.
So yeah, no, dude, very much enjoyed it. Everyone, if you like action thrillers or even buddy comedies, like go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I think it made like almost the exact same amount as the first one, so did pretty well at the box office. Um, yeah, no, we really enjoyed it. So I guess we can go ahead and jump into our rating. Pulling mine up right now. I can't really remember. Okay, there it is. So on Letterboxd, I gave this movie a 3.5 stars. Um, but I gave it like the highest rating a 3.5 star movie could get. I gave it a 7.4.
Nice.
Tied same score as Den of Thieves. I think it's a very similar because Den of Thieves is also a sequel from a movie that came out a while ago. Um, so kind of similar vibes, I got from both of these movies, but they were both like really solid sequels. So I gave it a 7.4, which is, like just zero point 0.1 away from being a 4 star. It very much fell in the same vein as me as Den of Thieves. I think I put it right under Den of Thieves just because I love the high scene in Den of Thieves so much.
Hmm.
But it still is currently in my top 10 of the year. Um,
Nice.
3.5 stars, 7.4. What did you think? What did you give it?
Yeah, so I actually thought the same thing. Not the same score, but the Den of Thieves comparison where the first one, um, which Den of Thieves is kind of different because I didn't love the first one, but they did the sequel better and more of a buddy cop character kind of way. I also gave this 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I'm a little bit under you. I gave it a 7.1. Uh, but that's still higher than Den of Thieves 2. I enjoyed this movie a little bit more, and I think it's because Affleck and Bernthal. I think that's what kind of separated it a little bit from me. And I do like the pattern motion, like him noticing patterns, noticing numbers. I think that's very interesting and a really cool way to dive into, some people who just might have, they're very high functioning autism or Asperger's as you said before. So I think that's very cool. Yeah, my only complaint really from this movie was kind of the twist, not really a twist, but kind of like the reveal of the really like highly skilled lady killer person that ended up being the mom that went missing after the car accident and got her face restructured and noticed patterns and became like violent. Didn't really care for that, really. Personally,
I don't even really remember what happened to her at the end. Was she
she
killed?
no, she went to go kill the dude that like killed her husband.
I don't remember.
Remember?
And I honestly
Oh,
don't. I
well, at
know
the
they
end,
saved the
basically,
kid.
she like
Did she ever get reunited with the kid?
no,
Yeah, I don't think
because
she,
because remember she said that lady in the picture is not me. That's not me. So
even though
she
it
makes
is.
that comment. I didn't really care for that. You could
Yeah.
have told me it was anybody, and I wouldn't have cared, or came from somewhere else. that was just kind of out there in my opinion. But sure, patterns was a big part of this movie. That's why I said that. But no, 7.1 still very solid. I would watch that one I think over the first one. Same thing with Den of Thieves 2. I would watch Pantera over the first one as well. But I think this one I put it right under Brave New World. I had Brave New World. I think it was 7.2. So this is like one below it. Um, it's right there. So I mean, it's still solid, very solid movie.
Yeah, no, I mean it's as good as it could be. Like you said, I do kind of agree there that her whole storyline was just I felt kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Like I said, I couldn't even remember what happened to her at the end. She just
Mhm.
wasn't really that important. I mean, she was definitely like very cool, like skilled assassin, but like the whole backstory of her being the mom in the first place and then getting her face reconstructed and then learning all this stuff,
Yeah.
in just a couple years
Yeah.
was a little weird, and just kind of a little more out there for what I think this movie really is. I think they could have just went with the route of like, oh, this kid's missing, we need to rescue him.
Yeah.
But
Or even if they said the mom died, like if
yeah,
the mom
but
was
yeah,
like,
exactly, exactly. But like I said, that last scene of them, the last like 30 minutes, when they go to rescue the kid, very, very cool scene.
yeah,
And then these people are trying to kill all these kids, and I was literally like getting a little on the edge of my seat because they were about to they put all the kids in the hole that they dug,
yeah, yeah,
about to slaughter them before Ben Affleck and Bernthal pulled up. So yeah, man, I think like I said, it's as good as it like could. It's as good as like this kind of genre of movie can be.
hmm,
It's got a lot of good laughs. It's got a couple good action sequences. That whole side story about the mom and her face being reconstructed, I don't think was necessarily needed. And I think this movie was maybe about 15, 20 minutes too long for the kind of movie it is. When I see a thriller, I want like an hour and a half, hour 45 max. And this movie was a little clocked in at a little over 2 hours, which I love a good long movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm pumped for a 3 hour Mission Impossible movie in a couple weeks, but a movie like this, like you don't need to go that crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean 7.4, like borderline a 5 star or 5 star, borderline a 4 star movie. Um, I just had it just the same ranking I gave Den of Thieves, but I did put it under because Den of Thieves, I just thought that whole heist sequence was just sick. Um, they actually just recently put that on Netflix. I might go rewatch it,
yeah,
just because of the heist scene. But yeah, it's like I said, I gave it the same rating. It's very similar vibes movie for a long-awaited sequel that you didn't really think you would ever get, but then you get it, and it's like, whoa, this one's actually kind of better than the first one.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, safe to say we both enjoyed it. I think critics and audiences are enjoying it. It's nothing crazy. It's just a fun action thriller mystery, with some comedy with Ben Affleck and John Bernthal, who
right,
is
yep,
and John Bernthal is one of our favorite actors right now for sure. So it's very cool to see him get a much bigger role in this one. We loved. Um, I've been seeing them like doing the press tour together, and it looks like they just get along great. And Bernthal's actually during the whole press tour, he's had the bald head because in the Odyssey, which comes out next year, it looks like his head is shaved. So, um, but yeah, that's The Accountant too. We really enjoyed it. Everybody go check it out. Like I said, if you even like action movies or thrillers at all, go check it out. It's not super violent. It's not like super vulgar or has no sexual anything in it. It's just a good thriller with some comedy. Like go check it out. Some good funny acting performances and some solid tense action at the end.